Yeah, so we're a small company, and the finance team hasn't grown since I've been here onshore. It's myself, a controller, and a financial analyst, processing tens of millions of dollars worth of purchases. And when I got there, the challenge, so just in terms of teams, so I have a team of two, and then we went from two initial hires with Entigrity, and we've staffed up to six. And eventually we promoted one of those six to be a lead locally to help supervise the local team. So that's sort of the configuration of the team. It's interesting. So my previous employer was a consulting firm in the accounting space, boutique accounting firm, and we had queued up some projects that we were going to staff, and you folks came well recommended. I don't think we ever did the deal, but it was enough for me to become acquainted with Entigrity, and it was such an interesting concept. When I got to Promax, I looked around and said, we have a lot more work to do. We have a lot of manual processes, many of which aren't being executed to the extent they should be. And I don't have the labor here onshore. It's a tight labor market. What am I going to do? And I thought about you folks, and we started that conversation, and it's worked out very well. Well, I guess maybe, if you like, I could start with the problem that I was trying to solve.
Yeah.
Really the reason for doing this. And as I mentioned earlier, we're a small shop. We have a lot of manual processes. We don't have an ERP system, and we're buying a ton of product, millions of dollars. And when I got there, it became obvious to me that we lacked the financial controls around the procure to pay cycle. All these purchases supporting thin margins. And from a financial control point of view, we didn't have a three-way match process. There was no ERP system that would match prices to POs and receipts to invoice quantities. We didn't have it. Basically, I had a understaffed accounts payable group that was paying invoices, taking it on faith that the invoices were correct, which is really no way to run a business. So I lacked time to implement an ERP, bandwidth among my staff to do more work, and there were some budget constraints too. So I was looking for a solution, and I thought of Entigrity. Obviously, there's some leverage in terms of the economics. We pay less, and the money wasn't the only thing. Just the availability of labor to be able to quickly spin up a team was very appealing to me. So what I did basically is I built up almost a manual ERP system overseas with the offshore team. I have a group of six who are really serving as Excel jockeys to a degree. They're doing tasks and analytics to validate invoices and support the approval cycle, the three-way match. They're generating purchase price variances, quantity variances. They're pushing debit memos back to our US suppliers. It's taken a bit to get there, but they're working very independently and efficiently now. We're also opening up capacity where they can help with certain cash application, bank recs. They're starting to do some sales analysis, review agings. So really they're augmenting my local staff. And the way I'm approaching work as it comes up is we first ask, can we farm X out to Entigrity to make the few people I have onshore more efficient? That's kind of the way I've approached it. Well, to be honest, it was a new experience for me and my staff. You folks have done it more. You have a process and a system. We had all sorts of questions around security initially. I was able to introduce my security, IT team to your team, and they worked through all that because that's above my pay grade in that area. And they got comfortable, so I was comfortable. And then it was a matter of, hiring folk. And that was a good process too. There was certainly no limit on the availability of candidates to talk to. And to me, the hiring process is always key. You have to know, I guess, what you're trying to achieve, to set the deliverables and the expectations. And as I indicated, the work that I was trying to get done wasn't really high end. So that I needed someone that had a comfort level with Excel-based analysis. QuickBooks was helpful. Really staff accountant level work. So my expectation was that most of the candidates would have the basic accounting DNA, if you would, to do the work. It was communication skills. And I really focused in on that. I think it's paid dividends. Some of the staff is stronger verbally than in writing, and the other way around for others. So it just took a little bit to really understand how these folks operate. Culturally, there are some differences. I think, as a rule, they're, I guess, more focused on pleasing and really being successful and not challenging a manager. That's been my experience. Really had to, we've had to work with them to say, hey, don't just accept it, challenge us. Keep asking questions until you understand, the statement of work, and it's going to work out better for everybody. So that was maybe an initial challenge, is figuring out how we're going to communicate and make sure it's two-way. I think one of the things that our account manager, Jamet, emphasized, incorporate these people into your local team. Try to build a team as opposed to having workers overseas that you just hand projects to. We embrace that philosophy. So I think the way we've leveraged the account manager is we've had bi-weekly meetings, monthly meetings, depending on what was going on with the team and sort of how our needs were changing. We would look to our account manager for guidance and support. And as needed, on occasion, he would bring in, I guess, I'd call him a floor supervisor, but a manager who's in the local office that could actually work directly and assist with training a particular issue, and that worked out well. The other thing that we do, incorporate the group into the team, is we have a daily meeting. It's, it could be 15 minutes or it could stretch to 45, but we try to connect, and with very few exceptions, we connect on a daily basis with these folks. It's their chance to be heard and our chance to hear them and kind of build a sense of trust, a sense of understanding, and, move the chains forward. It was ugly. And the reason I say that is the routines that we were trying to stand up with the overseas team were new. We had new data sources, built reports that had never been used before and vetted. We had reconciliation. Primarily, it was a reconciliation task. We had reconciliation templates that were new, hadn't really been vetted. So we were sort of building as we went. So there were a lot of iterations, and I made it clear to the team, both my local staff and the overseas folks, that we weren't going to get it right the first time. So it was going to be a little bit sloppy on the front end, work through those issues, and we did. I mean, we had issues with the data that we were trying to use for reconciliations. We had issues with the approach we were taking, logic issues. But they were great. They ground through the work, and what impressed me the most is a lot of it was could have been classified as monotonous at times. There was never a complaint. I would say it's still that way. In fact, I think it's improved over time. As the team has developed and the routines have become more embedded, the challenges have just been, I think they've evolved, where we look to them for more analytics. Instead of just doing work and handing us variances, we're now at the point where we can have discussions with them about underlying causes, where I'm encouraging my controller to hand over more staff work. So more different types of reconciliations, different types of projects that have kind of bogged us down locally. With two people, there's, there are definitely bandwidth constraints to overcome. And this has provided, this relationship has provided, a safety valve or a stopgap. And I think I mentioned this early on in our discussion, is I use the team to basically bridge the gap to where I need to be, which is to have a fully functioning ERP system in place, which is on our roadmap. So being able to actually do that, if I had to use US staff, US labor to build that, it would be prohibitively expensive to get the same quality people doing the same work. It wouldn't fly. So having financial control, having reporting, having the ability to go back to my suppliers and say, you've overcharged me for a reason I can support with transactional data, that's really key. So having that capacity is what I really like. In terms of where it's going, we're moving our model forward, and we'll have an ERP system in the near future. So what does that mean to the team? I don't know. Likely it may get smaller, or the work may change. Selfishly, I like the flexibility of its variables model, but I also like the folks that are on the team. And we've progressed far enough that I'm not shy about moving work overseas with them. There's good value there, good work being done. So we'll see. It will evolve. I think in general, this won't be a surprise to anybody, but figure out what you're trying to achieve. I think with any other initiative, you want to have a kind of on the front end, you want to have clearly defined outcomes and expectations, right? And have have a vision of why you need this team and what attributes that team will need. What's most valuable, and hire for that. And then recognize that you're building a team, right? And that takes a fair amount of energy, right? It doesn't just happen. We didn't just hire 6 people on a Monday and have a team that Friday. It was a learning process on both sides. And I think if you're willing to invest in the people, it's just like, the people in your office, or you have to invest some time, and you'll reap those rewards down the road. And the other thing is that I underestimated on the front end is folks like Jeanette, our account manager, and some of the floor supervisors, they can really add value and smooth out the process. So it's well worth it to, kind of leverage that relationship as well.